Yes, my brothers and sisters. Welcome. You are listening live from the nation's capital, that's Washington, D.C., for those of you who don't know, to the Exceptional Conservative Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. I'm yours truly. I am the Exceptional One, Kent McClinton. I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy lives to be with us tonight. We got much to talk about. You know, we are always jam-packed with the best conservative message in urban America, in the world. Let's just go with that right there. I love that jazz music. Charles Lollar will be here in just a few. We will be dialing him up. He's excited. We want to talk about the role of Trump, the GOP in America in meeting the needs of veterans. That's in the first hour. And that's just the first hour. Ladies and gentlemen, the second hour, we have the superstar impresario of oration, none other than BZ, where you can find him at Twitter handle BZEP, BZEP, sorry, forgive me. Or you can find him online at the Bloviating Zeppelin.net. Sir Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin will join us live in the 10 o'clock hour. Then I got some other things I want to talk with you about. I want to talk with you about the fact the metropolitan men are just so it's just so abrasive what Donald Trump is doing with the arts. Oh my goodness. Oh, clutch the pearls. He's just slashing. I said slashing the budget. Oh, and where are we going to get these dollars to make certain that Big Bird shows up on television? Oh, you know, over the weekend, PBS was pushing disco. I just wanted you to know that. They're pushing disco. You can call into your local PBS station, and for like $300 million, they will give you the best of the Bee Gees or something. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, PBS is the best pimping has ever been done outside of what's done on the street. Obviously, but we'll be talking about that, and we'll be talking about also one other thing that's really acute to me tonight, and I'm actually in the process of finishing off an essay that I started. And we'll do this in the last quarter of our hour of our program. No, I haven't completed the essay, but I will make certain that by morning it is completed. And that it's on Voice of Liberty. It's been a while since I put anything on Voice of Liberty, but I will make certain that it's there. And in addition to that, I just want to make it known to everybody that what I'm going to be talking about in the last quarter hour, you might want to invest your time and energy right now to get your family and friends over here to listen. But ladies and gentlemen, I am saying without a shadow of what I want to be talking is that there are a lot of individuals who are attempting to ask the people who created the problem in the first place to solve it. Can't be done that way. Claudia Cheek, glad to have you here tonight. Dave Bunman Milner, better known as the Unpleasant Blind Guy, glad to have you here tonight. And of course, the lovely, the beautiful Mary Brockman, my bouncer in chief. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Willie Lawson, also glad to have you here. There are also 3 viewers at the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room. I'm in the chat room. You need to be here with me. There's lots of good conversation that goes on even apart from me. So ladies and gentlemen, please make your way to the TECS tab of the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. Just click on it. It'll bring you right here. You can scroll down. You'll see this big face right before your eyes. Yeah, that's me. Yada, yada, yada. You'll also be able to click on and listen to me via, if you don't want to see me, you can listen to me live via SHR Media. Also want to thank the great people at Red Nation Rising on the Liberty Channel, 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Thank you so much for putting us in there. Is Willie really here? I don't know where Willie is. Willie is kind of like that thing, you know, where is? Now, I got to put this little sign up. This is our Pledge of Allegiance right here. I suggest that if you're going to cross the border tonight, that you'll memorize this before you come, because this is your ticket to freedom right here. In fact, it'll make you go back across the gate or whatever you decide to come into. And Charles Lollar will be with us in a few moments. 20 years Marine officer, retired. He is the founder of Trinity Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and also is a general manager at Walmart. He will be with us momentarily. We're going to talk about what it's going to take to really show our veterans true love. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to do the Pledge of Allegiance, remember always, find a flag. There are some flags behind you. For those who are watching via live stream, you'll see the big flag here. For those who are watching via Ustream, there's a flag behind me right there. Ooh, right there. Please pledge allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart and let us pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and let the children lead you. Stop trying to do it yourself, all right?
Here we go. Take your parents. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's how you know you're in America, people. People who have patriotism, love America. Ladies and gentlemen, let us get online now. My good friend, let's make sure that we get this right here, okay. Charles Lollar, he was running for governor of Maryland. He should have been the governor of Maryland. I said it. I ain't scared of none of y'all in Maryland, the People's Republic of Maryland. Y'all really needed a conservative who wouldn't bastardize fracking, if I could use that particular tone tonight, which the governor, Larry Hogan, has come out against fracking. And I don't know where. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Lollar will be joining us as we get that one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy thing together. There we go. One ringy dingy. Two ringy dingies. There we go. Ringy dingy. All right, so we're getting through. It's kind of like Ma Bell of the old days. Good evening. This is The Exceptional with Kim McClinton. You are live on The Exceptional Conservative Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network out of the nation's capital. Charles Lollar, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you, Ken, so much for having me. I'm absolutely excited to be part of your program, man.
Well, I'm excited to have you back here. And you know what? You should have been governor of Maryland. I'm going to say it to the People's Republic of Maryland. You should have been governor.
You know what? I appreciate that. I hope and pray for the Hogan family as they're under that stress now, and hopefully it seems like they're doing a good job. I would have been honored to serve Maryland as their governor, but it wasn't in the Lord's plans, not at this moment at least. But at least we do have some kind of good conservative-based governing going on in the great state of Maryland. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, I am too. Kind of sort of with the fracking thing, the outlawing of fracking, not cool, not cool. But I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. Listen, it was good seeing you at Dr. Joanne Fisher's event in Annapolis, where she brought the veterans together from all across the state of Maryland. I sent a great shout out to Dr. Joanne Fisher at the Women's Veterans. Just escaped my mind just that quickly. It's showing a sign of age. But at the Women's Collective there in the great state of Maryland. And you were one of the keynote speakers there, and you left the world just shook. You did a wonderful job and great presentation there, man.
You know what, kid? Thank you so much. And I have to share your sentiments. Dr. Fisher is some kind of lady. She was there for us when we ran for governor in 2014. But even before that, she's just been a pioneer of sorts, certainly a major catalyst in maintaining veterans' efforts at the forefront of discussion in government. She put on an outstanding venue. I was honored to be a part of it. We discussed a lot of issues where veterans were concerned and veterans issues in the state of Maryland, but not just Maryland, across the country. And Ken, I'm like you. I can't say enough good about that program. The people that were honored on that particular day, that Wednesday. And I believe the good, overall good that was done. My only hope would have been, if I could change one thing, if Lieutenant Governor Boyd had showed up and been part of that presentation, as well as the governor, because it was certainly something they both together should have been a part of.
You know, I would concur with you in that, and I know that as governor, you would have been there, and not being belligerent here, saying that maybe you should have been voted in. Not just, you know, I hold no cards there. I'm lying. You know, I wanted you to be governor. You had a fiscal policy that would have been exciting and quite legendary in terms of economic development for Maryland. But you're absolutely right. It was a disappointment not having Boyd Rutherford there, the Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, not having Governor Hogan there, because that place was standing room only for veterans, and that's unusual for veterans to come out for such an engagement. Am I correct on that?
You're spot on. You're spot on, and that's something that the governor and lieutenant governor have got to begin to say with all their mind as they're serving their constituents. And in the state of Maryland, where there's so many bases, major bases, as well as minor reserve bases in that state, you would have thought that they would have made it a priority. But I got to tell you, sometimes when you haven't served your country in that capacity, you really don't know or nor understand the full sacrifice that veterans make on an everyday basis. So it almost becomes a common constituency of sorts when you got to place them on the side with other different constituents and other different types of I call partnerships, when veterans are so much more than a constituency. They put freedom on their backs every day. They live under the Constitution. They serve honorably with other people in mind. Just the ultimate servant leaders of our community. They should have at least noted that at a minimum. But like I said at the genesis of my conversation, a lot of times when you're not part of that community, when you haven't served, which is why I firmly believe that anyone that wants to run for public office and serve in that capacity ought to at least serve some time in the United States Armed Forces.
It is good to have Charles Lollar back in the hizzy, back in the house here at the Exceptional Conservative Show. The last time he was on, we were violently berating him to come back on the air as often as he could, running for governor of the great state, somewhat great state. We're going to try to make Maryland great again. He got the hands full, but it's good to have him. He's down in Georgia, and hopefully pushing him to run for Congress one day from Georgia. Not pushing right now, wink, wink. But when we come back from the break, hey, you know your brother. You know I'm pushing you to do that. So when we come back, I want to talk with Charles Lollar a little bit about the veterans. I want to talk with him about the role of the government in terms of dealing with veterans. Also, I want to talk about healthcare and minorities in the GOP, because I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who say that somehow the GOP don't care because they want to repeal healthcare, and we need to talk about that. We are talking tonight with Charles Lollar, one of the most gifted conservatives in America. We will be right back right after these messages. You are listening to none other than the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. And we certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then the socialist. We'll be right back.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who saved $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to LendingTree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Someone is sleeping on the couch tonight.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian, because it's our story too.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Yes, it is also a new day here on the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We have the great joy of having Charles Lollar back in our house this particular evening. He did a wonderful job in terms of speaking. Came all the way from Georgia to speak at an event that was put together by Joanne Fisher, who is the great hostess and leader of the Women's United Committee, Women Veterans United Committee, Incorporated, in the state of Maryland. Charles, it's so good to have you here. Listen, there are lots of us who were sitting in that, and I got a chance to speak before the veterans, and I was in complete awe. I remember my days of working at the Pentagon and being in just complete awe of you and others who served our country, who didn't find it an inconvenience to give up everything so that we might have everything. And I want you, if you could, just for a few moments, speak to those individuals who have not had veterans experience, military experience, who are representing you all, and what should they consider first, above all things, for dealing with the veteran community?
First and foremost, I believe they should consider transition for veterans. The role of government for veterans and leadership really starts with understanding the veterans' transition out of the armed services into the private sector. I call it a service to sector transition. And what's really important in that regard, brothers, is many, whether they deal with post-traumatic stress disorder or whether they're dealing with just trying to get the proper certifications and opportunities to be able to work in the private sector, they face a lot of vulnerabilities and issues when they transition, which adds to the depression. Some of the numbers I threw out during the discussion I had at Dr. Fisher's event included the fact that 1 in 22 homeless are military veterans.
Yeah.
And that every 16 days, a military veteran decides to commit suicide, the largest percentage of which in the country. And at that rate of suicide actions amongst veterans, our female veteran suicide rate is growing at 140% over the past 5 years. So what we're starting to see, and I hope that many in elected office would see, that hopelessness and that PTSD and the vulnerabilities that many military have, they can do things like that with the pen. They can do things about that within legislation. First and foremost, we need to really consider a way for government to plant the vision for veterans when they transition out of the service in the private sector. What does that look like? How can they ensure, for example, that certifications or even training and military courses that our veterans get while they're going through their military service is easier transferred or transferable into the private sector, so that the certifications that they get, it's equal to what is given at colleges and other universities when it comes to veterans getting those needed managerial jobs or even those first ring jobs that require certifications. If politicians could do that by focusing and planting that vision, helping to create opportunity by driving the business community to understand the need for hiring veterans. My hat goes out to corporations like Walmart and like Cintas and UPS that are dedicated to hiring a certain amount of veterans over the next 15 to 20 years. One of the best folks I found that was able to plant that vision where our veterans were concerned, believe it or not, was Michelle Obama, Ken.
Really?
Michelle Obama, yes, she made a conscious decision to come out and say, this in 2010, that, and it was an ambitious goal, that every veteran ought to have a home and get off the streets. It was her homeless veteran push to get veterans from being homeless by 2015. It was a very bold, and I'm going to say bold and aggressive vision, but it set a tone for the business communities to collectively to get behind. Our government leaders, conservative and otherwise, need to be doing some of those same things right now in Maryland and across the country. And then finally, our government officials need to drive the commitments. Once you have them, you got to drive them. Drive it through our constituents. Drive it through our business leaders, both for-profit and nonprofit. The vision that every veteran deserves a home and a job when they get out of the United States Armed Forces, and not given to them, but let them work for it. But at least at an equal playing field, ensuring their certifications, their training, their courses are at par with their civilian counterparts.
Now, some people would say, listen, isn't that a backhanded handout? Are you talking about making certain that each person who leaves the military gets a handout job from the government?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Actually, it's not a handout at all. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I could see how that mindset would be would surface. It's not a handout. Here's what it is, brother. It's simply ensuring that their credentials are equivalent, equal to their civilian counterparts, to put them on the same plane when they compete for those jobs. So many times I've heard, and I can say this because I'm a 15-year business guy. I've been in executive business leadership for about 10 years, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard in boardrooms, I've heard in HR conventions, I've heard across the board, hey, grab those JMOs, those junior military officers, because those 20-year plus military folks and officers, you know, we can't really bring them in at a manager's rate because they've been in the military too long. They've been entrenched with the military ideas too long. They don't have proper certifications to be able to compete at the levels where we need them when they spent 20 years in. So all I'm saying is this: at least make it equal footing. That colonel or that first sergeant or that first class or that gunny, the certifications they got or they received from 20 years in the military transfer and should transfer equally to someone that's been in management for 10 years going up the corporate ladder.
Yeah, because we're talking with Charles Lollar, former candidate for governor of the state of Maryland, founder of Trinity down in Atlanta, Georgia, and as well 20 years as a Marine, a veteran of great esteem. There are those who would listen to that and say, well, Charles, we understand exactly what you're saying, and we believe that we should help as much as we possibly can. But what skill is it for a man to have flown a $35 million fighter jet? How do you transfer that skill into running a major corporation? It's not comprehensible, sir.
Okay, that's an outstanding point. But who's to say that $35 million pilot that flew that $35 million plane, that pilot who flew that plane that you articulated, who's to say they want that front end managerial job at that corporation? Maybe his aviation expertise is driving him to his aviation field. Listen, at the end of the day, companies have got to make the right decision for their employees. And I'm going to make it for mine at Walmart. All 846 of my employees, I want to make the right decisions for them. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to take someone in aviation and make them an operations officer or even an AGM. But I will say that the skills that are transferable and the talents and certifications they have that are in lockstep with the same type of job mindset and skill set on the civilian sec, that it ought to be equal when they're competing with the same amount of managerial experience that they've had in the United States Armed Forces.
In my opinion, listen, if you've flown a $35 million jet and didn't crash it, you got skills. You got the skills, man.
That's right.
Those are transferable wherever you go. We're talking tonight with Charles Lollar. One final question regarding veterans, because I do want to talk with you about some of the issues. But there are those who are sitting out, and this is thanks to the John Kerry crowd in America, who said that you guys have less IQ than any other person who may come out of Harvard or Yale. You guys have issues, drugs and mental health or whatever. There's no way that you all will fit in private industry. Can you rebuke that?
Not only can I, but I will. But I will. 7 days out of 7, and probably twice on Sunday. The intellectual capacity of the average Marine, airman, soldier, sailor, for them to satisfy 20 years of successful service is at par, and in some cases even better than any graduate from any institution, whether it's Harvard, Yale, Emory, University of Georgia, or that of UCLA. The mindset and the capability of doing a job, it all goes back to discipline, and you know this, Ken, as well as I do.
Yep.
That's why we go to college, because it is a measurement of how disciplined we can be to sit in a classroom, formulate our studies for 4 years, 6 or even 8, and complete our assignments at a relatively high degree of understanding that is measured by a letter grade or a numerical statistic. Listen, whether it's Harvard or whether it's the Marine Corps, if the discipline is there and it's completed, that person can be trusted to lead. It's not rocket science, unless it absolutely is rocket science, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So the John Kerrys of the world, of course, I'll rebuke that in a heartbeat. In fact, I'll take John Kerry and I'll compare him to my intellect, and I don't think it's even close. And I'm just saying that because I get so frustrated with the Kerrys and the Fondas of the world that have done a bigger detriment and harm to our men and women in service than they'll ever do any good in this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know, especially for women, if you're listening tonight, get in contact with Dr. Joanne Fisher. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Women Veterans United Committee Incorporated. And I'm going to ask the people in the chat roll who are in there, big warriors of the conservative message, share this with everybody tonight as best that you can. Because when you have veterans like Charles Lollar, who would actually fly in from Georgia just to speak, you know how powerful a woman she is, and you know how great the message is for veterans around the country. The only person who's going to represent you and lobby for you is you, and you need to step up because there are not a lot of individuals who are in office with the same skill set that you have or took the sacrifice that you made, and they're representing you. Charles Lollar, I'm telling you, would be an excellent. See, I keep pushing Charles. Charles Lollar would be an excellent representative down there in that Atlanta area. I'm just saying, what y'all got coming up here, it would be better if you said Charles. And segue to that, Charles, here in Washington, D.C., there are people who are angry. They're bitter. They believe that the Freedom Caucus has handed 2018 and 2020 and 2022 and 2024 over to the Democrats because they stood up and said that we want a repeal of Obamacare, and we mean all of it, not just some of it. I want to get your thoughts regarding what you saw happening and whether it was done well on anyone's part here in D.C.
Wow. You talk about a loaded one there, but it feels good. Hey, no. It feels good to be on this side of it because I can speak a whole lot freer.
Yeah.
With little less repercussions as far as I'm concerned, because it's great being a free American, not running for anything in office as of right now. But I'll tell you this: there were Republicans in that chamber that did not want to make the same mistake that many Democrats made when they passed Obamacare. One of the things I've loved about the Republican Party when I served and following the conservative movement is that Republicans, for the most part, tend to have very strong standards in terms of what they feel like they should be standing behind and accepting. They won't just accept anything. It's very rare to find, and Republicans are just as diverse a group of individuals that I've probably seen in any organization, PAC, party, etc. And they just won't go for anything. You're not going to get Republicans just to vote for somebody because the House majority leader said so. That's not the way Republicans are wired. We're individuals. Yep. We love freedom. We honor our Constitution. And we'll do just about anything it takes to make sure we don't lose any more freedoms than we currently have. That's just the way many Republicans are wired and made. And I think that the current president, as well as our House chairman, found that out. Our speaker found that out in a very real way over the past weekend. That they're not just going to settle and fall. No, we don't agree with Obamacare, but we're not going to replace it with something in the name of another name. If it's not going to objectively do what we want it to do in terms of healthcare, which is leave it free, let the free trade happen across state lines. Let's get some legitimate price tags on everything healthcare has in terms of consumables, products, surgeries, etc., so we can make clear and conscious decisions on what we're paying when we go to the emergency room or when we go to the hospital, because through private competition and realistic price tags on healthcare products will by itself begin to reduce the cost of healthcare. And many conservatives understand that. Republican conservatives, Democratic conservatives, and independent conservatives. And they know that a publicly funded system will not work. So, my heart goes out to our current president and to our speaker, but they got to get it right.
Yep.
Because these people that are representing conservatives across the state of Georgia and across the country, across the state of Maryland, they're not going to fall for just anything, Ken.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's the message that should be getting out into 495, 695, 290. You know the corridor. And once they get off the airplane at National Airport and ride past the Kennedy Center, they become completely different people. And that message that you just iterated needs to be sent to Washington, D.C. Final question for you, because I'm going to run out of time here. But I want you to keep coming back to our net. We're going to work that out with your great staff. Sarah is absolutely wonderful. She needs a raise.
I'll let her know that.
But you and I both are considered minorities, not just in urban communities where, we are minorities in the church, minority because we're conservatives and have a free market pursuits. But amongst the GOP, we're considered minorities. You, sir, ran for governor of Maryland. You put up a great fight. And your economic proposal, I preferred over anyone else's. You did a tremendous job. But there are lots of Democrats who left the plantation to vote for Donald Trump. But the GOP doesn't have a plan to reach out and bring them into the fold. What should conservatives be doing to touch the lives of those individuals who were taking the greatest risk of all with their families, their friends, and turning them aside and saying, you know what, I need to vote for America and not to fit in with urban America?
Tell you what, that's a great question, and it's one that left me, and I mean that sincerely. I know a lot of times we begin that vernacular, that verbiage with, hey, what a great question, but that really is a good one. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to defend my compliment. When I left in headquarters in Atlanta out of Maryland, my wife and I, we scratched our head about this backwards and forwards. What is it going to take? Where's the movement going to go? Because I felt a lot of frustration through that election for so many reasons. I knew the opportunity we had and just a tremendous opportunity I felt like was lost. But what's it going to take in this movement that we call the conservative movement in America? Because at the end of the day, we just want constitutions, freedom-loving individuals to look beyond skin color, gender, sexual orientation, and realize we have a great nation that we can embrace if we can all get on the same page. But it's what sparked my wife and I to start looking at a political action committee that we entitled the American Independent Thinkers Platform. And with the American Independent Thinkers PAC or platform does is it opens people up, whether Democrat, Republican, or Independent, to start looking at specific issues that, although may be divisive, at least try to find what the independent constitutional freedom-loving answer is. Because at this point, when you look at the platform as it stands, Republican versus Democrat, we can't get anything done in the name of a party. And where the party goes, the money flows. And as the money flows, the party goes. So no one is able, with a clear conscience, that's sincere at heart, that's an independent thinker, to really voice what is right or wrong. It's tough for me to give Michelle Obama a compliment in the presence of Republicans without being booed off the stage, when in all actuality, her push to eliminate homeless veterans by 2015 is remarkable. It's a great vision. So here's the point in summation. The point is there are a lot of issues out there that we need to address, independent in nature, that we can find value and come to the table and say, yes, this is right, and this is our direction for our country. If we can pull enough of those issues together in the name of the American Independent Thinkers Political Action Committee, I think we can move on that. We can build radio talk shows off of it. We can find those issues. Say, okay, we understand here's the Republican spin. Hey, here's the Democratic spin. But where is the independent thinker spin? And if we build it that way, our conservative coalition is going to last. Because I tell you this, most Americans are conservative at heart. And I will never change my stance on that because of the truth. Most are conservative, but they have a lot of compassion and passion wrapped around their compassion for a lot of social issues. But if we stick to what is independent, if we stick to what is nonpartisan, we'll win more people than we lose.
All right. Charles Lollar, American Independent Thinkers PAC. I want you to come back in next month and we'll talk about the PAC and how people can be a part of that. Because sincerely, the establishment Republicans and the Democrats have left the rails. I don't know where they are in terms of where America was in the last election, but they certainly are not on the same train.
That's right.
And so, how can people get in contact with you, and how can people support your efforts with the American Independent Thinkers PAC?
Oh wow, man, and I'm grateful for that, because I want to be able to come back on and discuss this with you in much more detail. But for right now, I'm going to give you my executive assistant. Her name is Sarah Parker. You know Sarah well, brother. She certainly did a great job connecting you. But that is a great first place to start, to reach out to her, and whether it's her email address or her phone number, which I'll grab for you here shortly. It'll be a great way for folks that want to get involved to get involved. Give her a call, send her an email, and we'll be happy to point them in the right direction. Sarah's number, and I'm sure she won't mind me giving it to her, is 404-789-7283. That's 404-789-7283.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you get in contact with a tremendous man of God. And I have always been enthralled with Charles Lollar. I love you, brother, and I want you to have the very best. I would love you to be in Congress one day. But certainly a man who understands the American mission of freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God bless you. Thank you for Sarah's help, and we look forward to you coming back next month, sir.
Thank you, brother. God bless you. This radio show with your family as well. And I look forward to it too, brother.
Terrific. Thank you so much. That is none other than Charles Lollar. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get in contact with Charles Lollar through Sarah Parker at 404-789-7283. That's 404-789-7283. And there is a email address of jjpsip@gmail.com. That's jjpsip@gmail.com. American Independent Thinkers PAC, Charles Lollar. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm having some issues with Facebook. So if you would get that message out to people on Facebook, I definitely would appreciate it. Listen, we don't all agree on everything, but there may be one or two issues that we can agree on. And if we start there, we could change the world. Listen, we'll be right back. And I know I'm running over, but we'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. Yes, we have a special this particular evening. None other than Dave Milner. Davey Milner, that is. And we will play him right now. Dave Milner. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. What? It's not there? It's, it's I'm shocked. How could it not be there? Let us try this one thing. Apparently I didn't get that message out clear enough. Maybe we'll work it this particular way. Wow. Boy, did I run over time. we will be right back, right after these messages. I am so sorry. And for those people who are Red Nation Rising folk, God bless you. And you won't be back by the time we get back. But I tell you all, if you want to stay for the second hour, come to the exceptionalconservativeshow.com or go to SHR Media. You can listen to it as well. But we love Red Nation Rising. We'll be right back.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books. Only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks.
Coming up, Dave Milner.
No time to waste. We live so fast. Oh shoot. Make the first step. Reach out for tomorrow. Live so fast.
Time for an unpleasant blind guy. Conservative bite. When an organization spends a lot of money buying airtime, asking you loudly to look in one direction for a problem, you have to wonder what their motivations are. I'm going to play and answer one of the many videos that have been run recently by an organization just calling itself The Truth, starring Truth correspondent Amanda Seals.
Big Tobacco must love diversity. They love it so much that here they advertise up to 10 times more in black neighborhoods than in other neighborhoods. 10 times. How is that okay? Big Tobacco is really trying to make friends with black folks. I see you.
I see you too. There's another group that makes money out of minority communities, selling a product that causes death far quicker than tobacco. I'm talking about Planned Parenthood. The largest abortion provider in the United States must love minorities too, because 78% of their clinics are in minority communities.
So much that in the past, Big Tobacco called us a market priority.
Evidently, black people are a marketing priority for Planned Parenthood as well. Because while black people make up to from 12 to 13% of the United States population, fully 35% of abortions are performed on black people.
It's not a coincidence. It's profiling. Don't let it go unseen.
Given the current abortion figures, blackgenocide.org doesn't ask if black people are being profiled. It asks if black people are being targeted, and it asks if that isn't genocide. Black people, it says, are the only minority in America that is on the decline in population.
Enlist at thetruth.com. Be the generation that ends smoking.
Well, that's really edgy. And while I'm not making excuses for big tobacco, it seems to me that this truth organization is protesting a little bit too loudly about how they're telling you the truth. The truth is that Planned Parenthood is well funded, makes money from abortions, and has an agenda laid down at its inception. You see, the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, was a devout racist who created what she called the Negro Project, which was designed to sterilize unknowing black women and others she deemed as undesirables of society. Margaret Sanger once said, "Colored people are like human weeds and are to be exterminated." Two fun facts. Planned Parenthood is heavily supported by the Democratic Party and its allied organizations. And Hillary Clinton, well, not only did she win the Margaret Sanger Award, she was proud to accept it and defended it. People, I'm not saying that tobacco addiction isn't a problem and shouldn't be fought. I am saying, however, that when it comes to groups and organizations that are a threat to minority communities in the United States of America, big tobacco is low on the priority list. If you want to enlist in something, try joining the movement to eradicate abortion mills in the United States of America that hide themselves as clinics for women. Be the generation that ends Planned Parenthood genocide in minority communities. Through their base funding for abortions and the money they get for selling parts of the babies they kill, Planned Parenthood is big business indeed. There's some truth for you. This has been an unpleasant blind guy conservative fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad you are with us tonight, live from the nation's capital. You are listening to us on the Exceptional Conservative Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network. It is the home to such great giants as the Shannon and Mike Show and the morning drive time period of 7 to 9, and also the Willie Lawson Show, Money Talk with Melanie. We also have The Right Guy with Ralph J. Chittum Sr., also known as the Kraken. And then we close everything out with Ron Edwards on Friday mornings. He'll be coming on. And Perry Drake tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Yes, 10:05 a.m. The Perry Drake superstar that he is will be joining us with the Drive-By Pundit Hour, 10 a.m. Listen, we're getting to a point now on SHR TECN where you don't really need to go to any other station. You really don't. I know that you love Rush Limbaugh, but you really don't need to go. I mean, look at all the stars we got packed in. And I want to say this to you all. Big announcement tonight. I did not send out this announcement to everybody in my network just yet, so I'm going to make it here. And I'm quite certain that Melanie's in the chat room going, "No, don't do it! No, don't do it!" But yes, because I need to do we got a segue for the next minute. Here we go. Was in deep discussions yesterday with two of the biggest stars of urban conservative politics. Serious discussions. to the point where I made it abundantly clear I will not get off this phone until we have an agreement. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, when I come back, I will tell you what that big news story is. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital, and we got a big, big scoop for you in the final 2 minutes of this particular program. We'll be right back.
Meet Jason. He was really excited to start growing his business with social media until he realized how complex and time-consuming social media can be. It's difficult to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It's hard to monitor what's happening on social media, follow discussions, and engage with new followers. It's time-consuming to publish updates throughout the day, track and analyze how effective posts are, respond to fans and followers in a timely manner, and gain new customers. The list seems to go on and on. Jason quickly becomes discouraged. How could he ever do all of this and still run a business? He was ready to give up on social media until he found eClincher, the easiest way to manage social media. Jason was amazed how straightforward and simple it is to use eClincher. With eClincher, Jason is now able to leverage the power of social media without having to dedicate several hours a day. He can easily organize all his social media accounts in one place, efficiently plan and schedule his posts ahead of time, engage with his followers, understand the effectiveness of his efforts with powerful analytics, find new customers, and much more. In order to tell your business's story, simplify the process of managing your social media, and analyze results, sign up with eClincher today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I am your host, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, the Bloviating Zeppelin, BZEP, at BZEP on Twitter. That's at BZEP. Will be joining us in just a few moments. I know, you might think that he is deserving of some type of award from Stockholm or something for his orations, whether you hear him on Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon, or if you hear him on Wednesday nights on Sackheads Radio Night. And I really believe that BZ actually tied up Sean and put a muffle in his mouth and threw him in a closet so that he wouldn't be on the last Wednesday night show. But BZ is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make very plain to you that I have ideas of world domination. Willie Lawson is absolutely correct. World domination in my mindset. And so, as we get ready to go over to the second hour here, I want to make this major announcement. On April 21st, Friday, April 21st at 9:05 p.m., the same spot that I have Monday through Thursdays. On Friday night, we will be adding a new program. That new program will have two of the biggest new stars of conservative talk, Kevin Batts and Janelle Batts. And you may have heard them on Red River Chronicle or Red River TV. They are huge superstars. It is a great joy and a great wonder to be able to make this announcement, and we look forward to more abundant news in the coming weeks. But congratulations to Kevin Batts, Janelle Batts. They will be the newest host on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Don't sit back. Don't take us for granted. We're growing by leaps and bounds. We'll be right back with more of the best. And yes, we will even play that commercial that you guys like so much. That I tell you, I get in so much trouble with the feminists when I play this one. You know, and I really care what they think.
Money Talk with Melanie is a lively discussion of global, domestic, and kitchen table financial topics. Join your business diva, Melanie Collette, as I speak with respected entrepreneurs, CEOs, authors, and politicians as we explore today's fiscal environment. Money Talk with Melanie airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Remember, this is important because it's your money.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Begin your mornings the right way with some right thinking from me, Perry Drake, your friendly neighborhood drive-by pundit. I want you to join me every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Central Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network. From politics to pop culture to relationships to whatever else is on your mind, we have a great deal to talk about. Join in and let's get the talking started.
The celebration of International Women's Day has, in my opinion, serious concerns. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, I, for one, fully appreciate women. I was taught by a wonderful dad to honor women and to always respect them. Great women throughout history achieved monumental accomplishments. It was the Iron Lady, Maggie Thatcher, who inspired Great Britain to reject the evils of chronic socialism and embrace liberty. America's Madam C.J. Walker was the first American millionaire businesswoman in the early years of the 20th century. For many generations, American mothers mightily contributed to the greatness of our republic by raising children who were trained up in the way that they should go. And as a result, they built the greatest nation in the history of the world. Unfortunately, what we are witnessing today are legions of bitter, mean females who disdain strong men while clamoring to be mighty themselves. Most educators are female, and for the most part, they are contributing to the downfall of America by indoctrinating students with lies, hatred, and unique progressive-style bigotry that would shame the KKK. However, I thank God of the growing biblically-based backlash to such utter progressive rubbish and the soon-to-come reestablishment of a great America. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from the Reamer, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
The Bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to articles near you. Excelsior.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first the Republican and then the socialist. This is what I was getting ready to do right here. I am every woman. Hear me roar. I got to talk with you about the metropolitan issues in D.C., but I'm going to do that after BZ comes on. I'm telling you, there are so many crying, sad metropolitan men because PBS might be cut. Who's going to be playing Raining Men? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. What would we ever do without having access to Sesame Street? Clutch the pearls. Oh no, they're getting ready to take off. Electric company. Oh. Boy, I tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, good friend of mine, even better commentator, and probably one of the best orators of the conservative message in America. I am graced and blessed to have him come on the air on Monday nights with me. He is also host of Berserk Bobcat Saloon. It's on 11 o'clock, on at 11 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursday nights on SHR Media. You will also hear him on, well, this is what he tells me. He told me that he did not tie up Sean, that Sean tied himself up and hung himself up because he's into that kind of thing. And he asked for the muffle. But you will hear him on Sackheads Radio Night on Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and you will also hear him here on Thursday nights. Thank God for his work on Bloviating Zeppelin.net. Want to introduce to some, present to others, the great Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. We're going to bring him on in just a few here. Here we go. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingy, live radio. There you go. What's that? It was a typo? What was that? Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin, welcome to TECN, the Exceptional Conservative Network, the Exceptional Conservative Show. It is a great honor to have you on, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Can we actually say the word autoerotic on your show? I didn't know if I had permission or not.
I try not to let the stuff that happens in the closet with Sean come out of the closet, but sometimes that's why he can't be there. But
well, on the other hand, sometimes you have to clean the closet.
You mean he leaves it like that? Oh my God! What kind of friend is this?
Well, all I can say is it didn't come from me. That's all.
That's all. And I also hear that he plays the clip, the promo from Melanie over and over again while he's in that closet. So, you know, hey.
Melanie, you're going to have to handle that one.
Oh, listen, BZ, you got a lot of great work on your site this particular week, and I'm going to put it in the chat row for everybody to share. It's at bloviatingzeppelin.net. And we just got news today that apparently the Democrats, despite what Donald Trump believes, don't want to play with him in the sandbox regarding the Supreme Court or anything else for that matter. Would you tell everybody, first and foremost, why you do bloviatingzeppelin.net and why they should be reading Democrats confirm they will filibuster Judge Gorsuch?
I am at bloviatingzeppelin.net. I've been there for 13 years now. I originally started the blog at just it was an exhaust vent at the time because I was gainfully employed, not retired, and I found it was a great way for me to vent. Now it turned into almost a completely political blog, and yes, I am quite a conservative individual. And now that I've got an actual mouthpiece, see, the thing was, it was great to be able to come on your show on Monday, and I could Bigfoot your show because we spoke and we met last year in Las Vegas, and you actually had the temerity to invite me on the show, much to your chagrin later on. And then once I signed the contract, I knew I had you hooked. So I still thank you. I thank you very much for allowing me on every Monday night. That's very, very kind of you. And so I exist to serve only you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, and you do a wonderful job protecting me, along with White Mamba, in the SHR Media chat room at shrmedia.com. You all do a wonderful job protecting me and holding out for my rights to be 2/3 a man. No one does it the way you all do it. I really appreciate that.
That's great. Yeah, no one is 2/3 the racist like we are. And as far as I'm concerned, you are a full man in my eyes. All right?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much. And after that, no, I won't make that comment.
You could.
I won't make the comment about the all-time greatest promo ever heard on our network. But let me divert myself from the sophomore humor and move to the more significant matter at hand. Donald Trump said he was going to start working with Democrats since the Republicans couldn't get their act together on health care, and he thought that the first place he would start with would be Gorsuch. How's that working out for him?
Well, again, as I said before, I knew as an adult, we're all adults on this bus, that he's going to do some things that are going to piss me off because no one would be the wonderful president on this entire planet except for me. And since you can't vote for me for president because I'm the ideal in my mind, Trump's going to make some serious mistakes. Well, he's a neophyte to politics. He knows how to get things done. And I always said that if there's one thing Donald Trump is a pragmatist. So as a businessman, for example, this deal got shot down. I'm still not exactly quite sure on which side he was really pushing, because to this bill, in terms of Republicans, that there are people, that Republicans that are really, really happy that it went down in flames. And then more of the establishment Republicans who are just extremely dissatisfied.
Yeah.
What happened to Trump is very, very similar to what happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was first elected in the state of California. He beat the pants off of Gray Davis by saying some extraordinary things. And in the first time we had an election on propositions, he literally got his ass handed to him because all the propositions that were conservative that he backed all got shot down. Once he found out what side of the bread the butter was actually applied, he went to that side. And he became an immediate pragmatist, which means that at that moment, he began leaning left. His chief of staff, for example, was at that time was about the most left-leaning individual imaginable. Now the question is, how's Trump going to rebound from this? Because he's got two factions chipping at him. He's got the Jared Kushner and Ivanka faction who are chipping and trying to draw him, in my opinion, left. He's got the Steve O'Bannon and Reince Priebus faction that are trying to draw him right. He would tend to go to the right because he in some ways he identifies with that, but he's going to listen to his family and they're going to draw him left. So this got shot down. He said quite seriously, all right, I'm done. I did my level best and you guys didn't want to do it, so now we're going to go someplace else. Which is fine. That's fine. But when people say, well, all right, that's it, we're done, we're never going to revisit this again, well, guess what? Yes, you can. You can revisit this at any time. Now, I understand what he's saying when he says, he throws up his arms and says, Democrats, this is still Obamacare. You bought it, you got it, you keep it, you're going to clean it. So whatever happens, it's on you. On the other hand, I still see no reason why this can't be revisited. That's a bit of a punitive kind of way of looking at it. And yes, you can stand back, arm's length, and let the thing crash. Because it's veritably going to crash of its own weight. It's completely unsustainable. But I don't think for people that are saying that, no, we'll never visit this again, they are wrong, I believe.
I agree with you. I agree with you. BZ, you know what I'm thinking about is the kid or the guy on your block who says he can repair your computer, and you take it to him and he screws it up even more than what you started with. And then he hands it back to you and says, it's your problem. I think that's the image I'm getting with the Trump fiasco here. And a lot of people are saying, hey, Kim, why are you so overjoyed? I thought you voted. I did vote for Donald Trump, but my vote for Donald Trump was not an allegiance to incivility and certainly not an allegiance to irreconcilable economics. The bottom line is trading up from Obamacare to Ryan Care just didn't make economic sense. And there's no freedom whatsoever in government proposing a 30% tax on you because your health care plan lapses. Those are the things that they didn't talk about in the media. Why didn't the Freedom Caucus talk about this kind of stuff?
You know, you ask questions that in my mind are so completely obvious, and on many levels, I just can't answer them. I really can't. I'm with you in this matter. It was, why would any real, true conservative want to go along with the taxes that were with that? I haven't followed this perhaps as closely as you have, Ken, but one incredible, critical question to me, and maybe you can answer this, is did that bill, proffered by Paul Ryan, allow your health care to be portable, to be transportable anywhere, no matter what job you were at, no matter where you lived?
No.
Okay. Okay, so that's my point.
Mm-hmm.
For hell's sake, I almost said the F word. That's the most logical aspect that needs to be updated in that entire bill. Yeah, do you want these taxes? Come on, please. That's just silly.
Exactly.
That's an entire entitlement all over again. My God, we've got enough of those. But the next most important, perhaps the overarching question is, why the hell didn't you make it transportable? Then you go from one job to another. You're still going to pay the same amount, and your check's still going to go to the same building. So why can't you make it go across state lines? Why can't you have coverage if you 1 week you're a librarian and the next week you decide you're going to be a pipe fitter? Your health hasn't changed, yet everything gets destroyed, and you have to build it all up from scratch. None of that makes sense. So, and you tell me that was not in the bill. I completely believe you, because this isn't my main area of expertise.
Yeah.
But then what you've confirmed for me is that was just plain daft. Why didn't you had the chance to do the obvious. And then here's the other thing that completely befuddles me, Ken, and maybe you have an answer for this.
Yeah.
You didn't do the obvious if you're a GOP establishment hack, and then you're pissed off because you didn't sound more like a Democrat. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
So Paul Ryan, seeing that this is not going to go well, he decides he's going to pull the whole thing and take his toys and go home. Again, what the hell is going on in D.C.?
Yes!
I just don't get it. The GOP actually used to, at one time, be fairly conservative. It's clear they have a conservative wing that still chips up now and then. But I guess, in summary, am I gobsmacked and just so depressed that the bill didn't make it? Well, no, I'm not.
Exactly.
No, I'm not. You can do it again. You can address it again. There's nothing that says you can't try to build consensus within the GOP. Here's the other thing, and which is why I don't vote straight Republican. Frankly, I'm a registered independent, but this is one of the reasons that I left the Republican Party, other than the fact that they're complete invertebrates when they have all the reins of power and decide that they can't even get a consensus to decide what they're going to do. But absent that, as Republicans, number one, they don't know how to handle power when they have it. They can't acquire consensus. And the other thing is, if they lack the innate ability to look 2 inches down the road. In the past, what did they have? They had 8 years of Barack Obama. And during that entire 8 years, they bitched and kvetched about Obamacare. That would have been a perfect time to hold meetings, get together, and decide, all right, now, if we are put in charge, what will we do to implement a new version of health care. We don't like Obamacare. That's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to craft in its stead? They had 8 years to do it. The buggers haven't done a thing. That's insane. That's just insane.
Listen, when we come back from the break, because I got to go to a hard break here, but we got to talk about that. It is a consummate scenario and situation that Republicans run, but they don't expect to win. We saw exactly what happens. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of the best in urban conservative talk. Yes, we are talking with the Bloviating Zeppelin, our Pulitzer Prize winning, or should be at least, author and orator from bloviatingzeppelin.net. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages. Let's start off with the right guy.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, conservative by choice. It's Reverend Ralph Chittum's The Right Guy on the Exceptional Conservative Network from 4:05 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. The Right Guy on TECN.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the integration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have a brand new show on at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We are bound to make you think. We are bound to make you see things differently. We are bound to push you into action for not only your community, but your country. That's the Willie Lawson Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. See you there.
Yeah, baby Bubba. Welcome back. You're listening tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We're on the Exceptional Conservative Network. You can hear us on SHR Media. You can also hear us on TECN, the chat room. So great to have all these wonderful people up in the hizzy tonight. Willie Lawson, White Mamba, Ralph J. Chittum Sr., the Kraken, is up in the camp. Also, Melanie Collette, pinky finger when we drink, Melanie. Dan the Man Butcher's in there. Love you. And Jane, his wife, love you dearly. Dave Bunman Milner is in there. The beautiful, the lovely Claudia Cheek. Bloviating Zeppelin in there. And also the most beautiful of them all, Mary Brockman, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. What is it with GOPers, BZ? Are they just immune to reason when it comes to winning? Have they received too many participation boards?
I'm afraid what's going on with the GOP is it's inveterate. It's simply it's genetic. It's ingrained somehow within them. I had I'm going to reveal something terrible. In the 60s, when I was in school, God, who was this? Oh, in junior high. He was in junior high school. There was a man by the name of a teacher of Mr. Myers, and Mr. Myers told me this, and I wasn't even remotely interested in politics at the time, but for whatever reason, this happened to stick in my wheelhouse, and it's this. Democrats don't win elections, Republicans lose them. And it's that philosophy that seems to have carried across all of their wheelhouses as well. If there's one thing, I have to be perfectly honest, if there's one thing that it seems to me that the Democrats can do at the drop of a hat, mostly, except for the past, I don't know, since November, is that Democrats can center themselves around an issue like no one's business.
Yeah.
They can coalesce with leftists, with progressives, certainly with themselves, and they can unify. The GOP, for whatever combination of reasons, just absolutely, resolutely fails at this ability. If there's a foot to be shot, the Republicans will find it, and they'll pull the trigger.
And they'll even bring the ammo.
Oh yes.
BZ, they're going out to Gorsuch this week. Apparently, the smiles and the consenting adult behavior that was literally called the hearings has subsided. And I guess Donald Trump has learned that that's why we call them Democrats, because they are opposed to anything that you do. What is up with the Gorsuch filibuster? I thought we weren't going to have a filibuster.
There are a couple of questions in the air. You're going to laugh at this. The people that are listening live, the people that are in chat, the people that are listening to this on podcast, you're going to laugh when you hear this. The newest rumor running around D.C., and you may have even heard this yourself, there's a movement afoot now to lobby the Republicans, and there's information that I have indicating that the Republicans may actually buy into this and begin to suspect to push it just a little bit. There's a movement to try to ask or acquire the GOP to agree that the second SCOTUS appointment they're going to make is Merrick Garland on the basis of it's only fair.
Oh my God!
Now, when you're slapping your forehead over that, here's the thing that's frightening. You and I both know that there are probably Republicans out there right now that are thinking, that's not a bad idea. That's what's frightening. That's what's scary. Here's the other thing. I've heard from the inside from a couple of sources and people saying that there's information to indicate that right around the summertime, not exactly sure when, maybe June, July, August, unknown exactly specifically, there's a chance there will be another opening in SCOTUS. Now, I haven't had any specific names, but I think you can probably get a short list of the usual suspects for that. But if the Democrats can coalesce around trying to stop Neil Gorsuch, then can you imagine the fight that's going to occur over number two? Because here's the deal. I still think that Gorsuch is going to get confirmed.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that he possibly could get confirmed as early as next Monday. I find that a little too optimistic.
Yeah, that's kind of as ambitious as actually passing a repeal bill. That's really ambitious.
So I think he's going to go. I really do believe it. Because here's the other thing. My understanding is that there are still a number of Democrats, at least 11 or more, who have not made any statements whatsoever as to whether or not they would vote for Neil Gorsuch, or whether they'd piggyback on little Chucky Schumer's plan of we're just going to say no. And I know I've got all the votes to go along with it. So Mitch McConnell may not have to engage the nuclear button. It'll be curious to see because as of yet, there are still a handful of Democrats that have not weighed in. And if they haven't weighed in, what that tells me is they're mindful of what's going on with their constituents at home, and they still haven't grappled with that weighty question. If I decide that I'm going to piggyback with little Chucky Schumer and say, no, Gorsuch can go to hell, how is that going to affect the constituents at home, especially when you've got midterms coming up?
Yes, yes, and we're
so everybody, and most of the people that are up for midterms come from areas that are not leaning left of center, they're leaning right of center. So as we all know, the president is appointed for 4 years, senators for 6 years, so representatives for 2 years, meaning that representatives are always campaigning, always, always, always. And because of that, because of the short nature of their tenure, and because they're always campaigning, they more than senators have to worry about, well, where am I going to get my money and who am I going to piss off? So in my mind, that's telling me, all right, some of these Democrats are not saying anything because they still have their little finger up trying to determine just from what direction the political prairie winds are blowing. So in my mind, that they haven't weighed in could possibly be a positive thing at this point.
Exactly. And you and I both know that in West Virginia, there's only one last senatorial seat that hasn't gone red. And Conrad Lucas, this is my shout out to you, Conrad Lucas III, who is the chairman of the GOP in West Virginia. They need to listen to you, guy, and find out how to actually run the Republican Party. He turned a perfectly blue state into red in less than 3 elections. The last seat that remains is Joe Manchin, and he hears the steps someone coming up the steps. He can hear that door creaking. I'm quite certain he's one of those guys who's thinking right now, Chucky Schumer or the Senate, which one do I pick? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he can hear footsteps, and he knows that some very serious shite is just around the corner. And this is a big deal, capital B, capital D, as to whether or not I go along with little Chucky Schumer or whether I show a little bit of independence and who am I going to side with, and I'm still up in the air. Funny thing is, back in 2006, almost the entire cadre of individuals who are now saying that Gorsuch is heinous, they all said in 2006, Gorsuch is just fine. Cantwell, Carper, Durbin, Feinstein, Leahy, Hernandez, Wyden, Babineau, and little Chucky Schumer. They all, Murray, they all, at that time in 2006, had no problem whatsoever with Neil Gorsuch. Now they do. Well, 2 reasons. Number one, they're pissed. This is a revenge. I can politically stab you in the back from Merrick Garland.
Yep.
And number two, it's, well, here's the other thing. Chuck Schumer is, I'm sure, under intense pressure to be Harry Reid. Harry Reid, in my opinion, was just an evil man.
Yes.
So sometimes you look at individuals who are so plotting that you can conclude really that they're actually evil. And I think Harry Reid was one of those individuals politically. I don't think he did anything out of the good of the order for most of anyone, except for perhaps him. Chucky Schumer is not quite that corrupt. I think he's conflicted, but he knows that he has to be the face of the Democrat Party. He has to pick up where Harry Reid left off, and he has to put on his game face, and he has to say the right words. But I'm still not convinced that Chuck Schumer is Harry Reid.
Listen, I'm going to let the Republicans, because I know you all listen to this program, and especially WMAL people. I know you listen to this program, and the next morning your topics seem to be related to what we talk about here. I don't want to take credit. I'm just saying. But I'm just going to let you Republicans since 25% of the listening audience on TECN is from Washington, D.C., you think you're going to go back home and convince Americans that Merrick Garland is the choice complete for exchange for Gorsuch, who is not as conservative as Thomas is. Maybe just a little more conservative than Scalia, but not much more. If you think that's an even exchange, you might as well go ahead and start packing your stuff now from out of the U.S. Senate. Put it all in boxes because you will be replaced. It's a guarantee. Just like the 435 who are coming up for election in 2018, and the over 218, I think it was 218 of you all who were establishment Republicans who were going to go along with a bill to create Ryan Care. You already going to be primaried by every conservative in your neighborhood. Just get ready for that. So, I'm just letting people know right off the bat, there is an election coming, and there will be a heavy price to pay. And this is the other thing I want to talk with you about, because there are lots of people that say, I have an allegiance, in the final 3 minutes that I have left with you, I have an allegiance to Donald Trump because the American people have an allegiance to Donald Trump. Is that true? And did last week show that American people have an allegiance to the Constitution rather than Donald Trump?
Well, before we leave the issue of Gorsuch behind, I want to piggyback on what you were just saying, because specifically, if there are politicians listening right now, you guys need to take heed to what Ken was just saying. And that's this specifically about Judge Neil Gorsuch, as opposed to almost any judge that I've heard recently. I can tell you, and every one of you listening inherently know, this is a good man.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man who wants to do good. He'd be an excellent SCOTUS judge. I do believe that he'd be independent, and he'd go whichever way he felt was necessary to go. He is an originalist. He doesn't create law. He interprets law that already exists. But when you attack this man, you're bringing umbrage. You're creating my umbrage against you, because I can already tell. I know what kind of an individual this man is. All I have to do is listen to him and listen to what he says. If you're not going to back this guy, who would you back?
Yes.
I don't get that at all. I don't think there's an evil or a mean bone in this man's body, and I think he's a very good man. And if you can't see that, you're going to take politics over that, over something that I think you inherently know within yourselves, you're looking for a big problem. And it's not entirely impossible that you're going to get a big problem in the midterms. So, Ken, I entirely agree with you about that.
Exactly. Ralph J. Chittum's the Kraken in the chat room says, no, there is never an allegiance to an individual if by allegiance you mean blind loyalty. And this is crazy talk, because I know the final minute here, and there's so much I want to talk with you about, BZ, and everybody needs to hear you on your show on Tuesday and Thursday nights, and your new show, Sackheads Radio, on Wednesday nights, thanks to what you do with Sean and tying him up in the closet and everything. But
just like Ralph said, no, there's no blind allegiance to Trump.
No.
Everyone that's listening, you, Ralph, anybody, we go by what our own internal precepts say. We try to live by God's rule, and we try to infuse politics into that and try to do the right thing. I am not linked to one particular individual. I am linked to a philosophy that is for the best of everyone.
Exactly.
Independence.
Exactly. Because actually for those African-American, Negro, colored, black people, and Latinos, and other Asians as well, if you came off the Democrat plantation alleged to one person, thanks to their popularity or their persona, and you bring that over to the other side, you are no better than whence you left. You really are. It's about principles, not personality. How can people listen to your show, sir?
Well, I'm going to have a nice show tomorrow evening, right after you, sir, as a matter of fact, at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. That's That'll be on Tuesday. Then there's another one on Thursday, and then of course I'm on Sackheads on Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm at Bloviating.net, and I'm on Gab and Twitter at BZEP at BZEP.
All right, sir. We will see you tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Good night, and God bless you.
Thank you ever so kindly, and thank you for having me on your show, sir. God bless and good night.
Thank you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back, and we're going to take our last. You feel it, baby? This is the last of the commercials. You know what I'm saying? Well, they do that little thingy. Do that little thingy. Yeah, there you go. It's called twerking, isn't it? Mary, get up and do the twerk. We haven't danced in a long time in our chat room. Do the twerk. Yeah, all right. You're listening to the Exceptional Service Show live from the nation's capital. We'll be right back right after this. Twerk it, baby. Go back, baby. Go back.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian, because it's our story too.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Begin your mornings the right way with some right thinking from me, Perry Drake, your friendly neighborhood drive-by pundit. I want you to join me every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Central Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network. From politics to pop culture to relationships to whatever else is on your mind, we have a great deal to talk about. Join in and let's get the talking started.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hello, this is Leslie Sophie with The Real Clear Israel. Join me every Sunday morning at 10:05 Eastern Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network, where we'll be discussing Israel with guests from Israel and around the world.
That's The Real Clear Israel, 10:05 Sunday on the Exceptional Conservative Network. It's time to celebrate, ladies and gentlemen. Ken McClinton and the Exceptional Conservative Show celebrate 7 years of excellence in broadcasting here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. 9:05 p.m. Monday through Thursday, the finest in conservative talk anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to celebrate!
Yes, I feel good tonight. I feel like celebrating. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the last of the commercials and promos on the Exceptional Conservative Show at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. I am so glad that you listen to them and pay great attention to them, because there are a great many great shows. If I can be redundant, and I can be because I live in Washington, D.C., where government programs are all redundant. they talk about spending money, they will come up with the same program and call it new. But ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow morning, start your day at 7 a.m. with Shannon and Mike. Continue your day with Willie Lawson. Be there at 10 a.m. for the debut of Perry Drake and the drive-by pundit hour. In the afternoon on TECN. Continue listening to The Right Guy with Ralph J. Chittum Sr. and close out your evening on TECN with the exceptional one, Kevin McClinton. Also, during the course of the day, listen to Jersey Joe and his show at 11 a.m., going through the noontime hour. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is on at 1 o'clock. Also, on Tuesdays is Southern Sense is on. And in addition to that, in the evening at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Berserk Bobcat Saloon, and that is at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Left Coast Time, home to the leftist Marxist Socialists of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to thank the good people at Stand With Israel. They invited us, Stand With Us. They invited us, and I attended the event with Melanie Collette and also Deborah Frazier, my assistant. We attended the event yesterday. I went to actually 2 events with Stand With Israel, and I'm going to tell you all right off the bat, I stand with Israel. And it's not a matter if you agree with everything. I don't agree with everything that Israel does. And nobody asked you to do that. Because I don't agree with everything, and my wife certainly doesn't agree with everything that I do. But I tell you what, we stand for each other, and we stand with each other, and I certainly stand with Israel. So I encourage you, and we're going to be working on getting some of the great guests from that organization to come on the air with us and talk, especially about anti-Zionism and other issues. Let me take this moment here. And want to thank the Zionists of America. Thank you so much for inviting us and being a part of that. And I want to thank also Brandy Bohannon, who is the editor-in-chief of AC Nation News. I want to thank her for making certain that we made the connections that are necessary to be a part of that. And we encourage you, get involved. Get involved. There's probably a regional ZOA in your community. Be a part of it. Stand with Israel. I mean, and for all you black ministers who are closer to Muhammad now than you ever were to Jesus, y'all need to take a few moments and really get to know what Israel is all about. You really do. Okay. I went to a funeral today, so I want to close this out in preparation for the remarks. No, I actually let me do this first. First and foremost, there are a lot of individuals in Washington D.C. who are clutching the pearls right now. Oh dear Lord, they're going to cut the budget. Oh, well, they're going to cut out defense now, aren't they? They just got to cut out defense. We just don't need another gun. Yeah, they're working on agitating at this particular juncture. And so I want to say this to those who are following the budget cuts to come. You know that in Washington, D.C. has never had the recessionary period that the rest of the world had. Never. Because we were pumping money, we were making money hand over fist in this regard. We were printing it through the Treasury and re-spending it in our city accordingly. Well, at least we weren't, but the government was spending it, and so in turn, DC government spends it. So the bottom line is that we've never experienced recession. I know some of you all experienced it, and especially Nevada. I know you all experienced it. Whoa, Nelly, boy, did you all experience it. But DC never did. And so what we have is a scenario in this particular place where budget cuts are coming, as they should. We've had a lofty 8-year period where the recessionary period didn't touch us. People built fashionably large mansions and with government money. Well, they call it payroll or contracted work, but nevertheless, they expended it a great deal. We have more restaurants now in DC than we actually have churches. It's just the way it is. People spending money like that. So there is a budget cut coming, and you're going to have to get used to it. It's just the way it is. But there are some people who don't like the fact that a budget cut is coming. And so I want to play this for you to let you know that there are some people out there who clutch the pearls, don't understand that because
it is a big day for basketball as Anton Miller is getting ready to sign a one.
Okay, the bottom line is that just because you print the money does not mean it's there and always continually there, and that budget cuts have to take place. They really do. So I want to make this available to you so that you can hear this particular message.
Budget for 2018. And President Trump has released his proposed budget for 2018 and plans to eliminate funding for several independent agencies. The president's proposed budget completely eliminates spending for the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
No, we can ask them to pay for defense, and we will, but we can't ask them to continue to pay for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
If you add up the proposed 2017 budgets for all 4 of these agencies, it equals roughly $971 million, which is about 0.02% of the overall federal budget. If this was a slice of pie, you would be pretty hungry. The NEA was created in 1965 to expand access to the arts, and today it helps to fund state art agencies and promotes the arts nationally, including veterans programs and hosting a national poetry contest like Vermont's Poetry Out Loud. In 2016, the NEA awarded over 2,400 grants in every congressional district across the country. 65% of this grant money went to small and medium-sized organizations. So this means that smaller state and local arts groups that operate on shoestring budgets will be affected the most. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which supports local PBS and NPR stations around the country, helps non-commercial and educational programming reach 99% of their U.S. population.
This is cold. You're fired.
The CPB receives an annual budget of $445 million, which is distributed to nearly 1,500 affiliate NPR and PBS stations. So while popular national programs like NPR's Morning Edition will likely survive, local news programs will suffer. And Big Bird is probably safe, but local events on PBS are likely not.
Yeah, well, you can't just hop and pop and blow everything away, you know.
This budget will also scrap the National Endowment for the Humanities, which directly funds research, artists, and documentaries. It also eliminates the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which helps local libraries buy computers and set up disability services. So while arts and culture in bigger cities and non-commercial broadcasting in larger markets will likely find new sources of revenue, it's the smaller organizations, and the rural communities, and inner-city cultural groups that will see the most significant change.
West 4th Street, and I sat at the bar, casting beer money with my thin reel of...
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that the Exceptional Conservative Network works on a very tight budget. It's the same budget that we've had for the past 7 years. Zero. All of the efforts are volunteer efforts, and we put together one of the most quality-oriented web, internet, radio, and television, and every communication form possible out there. And we do it with how much money? How much money did we spend? Zero of public taxpayer money. You all know for a fact that Big Bird was sold to HBO. So HBO, I'm quite certain, only made maybe 50 or 60 cents, period, last year. Wrong. They were a very profitable organization, and so will be anyone else who bought the rights to Big Bird, which Sesame Street, which would be what? The Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, Corporation for Public Broadcasting will always be there. Why? Because you will always have leftists, you will always have Marxists, you will always have socialists who will do whatever they can to upset the balance of society, to create venues of sexuality that don't exist on real paper, and quite frankly, have everything they do to try to make the most irreverent and controversially dissonant behavior mainstream. I assure you, if you cut out the NEA, they will still dance in the streets. In fact, Motown even had a song for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tell you right now, the best thing you do is pick up the phone and call your congressman and your senator and say, cut it to the quick. They don't need my money because Elmo is making buku on HBO. Just saying. So if anybody else can come up with an idea as to why we need public broadcasting to get any federal money, you might as well give federal money to Planned Parenthood while you're at it. You know what I'm saying? Might as well. Throw it all out there. Listen, we're coming to the very end of our program, and I am writing an essay, and I will probably have it finished in the morning. But this young woman reminds me a lot of this young woman here. Ayanna McAllister reminds me a lot of Shanice Milton. Shanice Milton happened to be my daughter. And she was killed a little over 2 years ago. In fact, she's running up probably the next May. She would have been an unsolved murder for 3 years. And thus put on cold case. Ayanna Jasmine McAllister was killed about a week or so ago. She had her funeral today. My wife and I attended the funeral. And I want you to understand something. It is ungodly that a father and a mother have to bury their daughter. What's more ungodly, however, is to turn to the same government that set up the system by which your daughter was killed and ask them to do something different. Ladies and gentlemen, until you change the government in the inner city, if you don't remember anything else I said tonight, because I know what I just said and all the things I'm going to write are so confrontational that people will actually say aloud that I'm glad that they killed your daughter, because you don't march to the same tune as everybody else in this city. I never will. But ladies and gentlemen, good girls are missing and dying in the streets of DC because we have a government that refuses to enforce the law and wants to put the criminal ahead of the victim. If you don't remember anything else I said tonight, I want you to remember this. God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. Tomorrow night, we'll be back with Charles Eagleson, and we'll be talking about veteran affairs with the Purple Heart Industry. Good night, and God bless you.